Good day to everyone. Welcome back. As I am continuing to answer questions, I dealt with marijuana before. Now I'm going to deal with car racing as one of the questions because I have a lot of questions from people who ask me, various types of questions. All questions are good questions, just to answer the questions. So, car racing is a question that I've been asked, and the question that I got from the person is actually very lengthy. um, but I'm gonna just answer the question. I mean, in general about car racing. What are my thoughts? Because the person have like, what's car racing? What are the benefits of car racing? Would duty free and car parts be given to car racing people? Would racing bring tourism to the island? What is the location for car racing? Will there be a racetrack built? Did you race? Do you see a potential in becoming great at car racing? Whole heap of question I'm being asked here about car racing. And I know somebody would have asked me about car racing, which I didn't even want to discuss because in my life, I was totally into car racing. I woke up thinking about cars. I slept thinking about cars. I spent my money on car parts, buying engines, you know, turbo, everything. When it comes to car racing, I know everything about car racing because I have a garage and I actually built my own. I build my own vehicles. So when it comes to the car racing business, I know it. I didn't want to talk about car racing because it brings back some memories and because I've learned so much lately about assets and liabilities. Car racing is a subject that I like to dodge. And I know that somebody was going to ask me about car racing and if in case car racing is beneficial and so forth. In Montserrat, we have a motorsport association, and that association deals with the actual car racing and so forth. Yes, as long as you're a member, you get certain exemptions and so forth. Racing usually take place at Carkill, and I know that they're supposed to, well, they have plans to build a racetrack in Carkill. The more details into the car racing in terms of the association, I don't know. But I used to attend the events when they have car racing. Before the Motorsport Association, I used to do car racing in terms of actually be a part of racing and so forth. But what can I say about car racing? I'm trying to say it in a nice way. Let me think. I have no issues with car racing, and I have no issues with people actually being involved with car racing, spending their money on cars and so forth, and the racing products and so forth. Car racing is actually a good sport, and many people on the island like it. The guys went to Antigua, I watched them, participating. The car that I used to have, all Jack have that now, and he was actively involved in car racing to represent Montserrat. Anything to represent Montserrat is a good thing because I put Montserrat name out there. It's a good thing. So when it comes to should a young person actually get into car racing, let's get into that because that is the real part of the question that I think the person is really asking me. Should a young person get into car racing? First of all, let me say car racing is a money sport. You have to have money to actually be in car racing. I remember one time when the Monster team went to St. Kitts and they were actually searching every vehicle because usually people back in the day, usually people who actually are very active in car racing used to be people involved in certain illicit things. So they actually thought that everybody who is involved in car racing is actually involved. They didn't know that people use their every cent to actually buy car parts and get themselves involved in a sport that they like and love. I love to see fast cars and I love fast cars, but here what I have to say. You can actually get involved in car racing, but you need to make sure that you are making more money than you're spending. Once you could afford it, then you could do whatever you want. The whole thing is As long as you can afford something, you could do what you want. But you have to understand when you get into car racing and you want to be on top, you have to spend a lot of money. And nobody want to be second and nobody want to be in a low class. You want to be the king when it comes to car racing. And it costs money because no matter how you build your vehicle, something will break and you have to go back and spend money again. So car racing is considered a rich man's sport. So if in case you can afford it, then you can do it. But if you can't afford it, my advice to you is to keep away from it, because if you make $2,000 a month and you want to get into car racing and you want to spend $2,500 on this part and $3,000 on that part, that doesn't make sense, isn't it? So at the end of the day, you have to know your financial status to know exactly what you can afford and what you can't afford. Me, I spent so much money in car racing. That is the reason why I don't like to talk about car racing, because I wish I had somebody that could just tell me, Glenn, what you're doing don't make sense and you should actually take the money and invest in something that can make you money. As I said in another video, is when I went to England and met Sean, that is when I realized that I was investing my money into the wrong thing. I was not investing my money into something that could bring back money. You know, I had one of the fastest cars as far as I know in terms of power. Car racing is simple. Who spends the most money has the fastest vehicle. It's very simple. All you have to do is spend the most money, buy the best stuff, put them in a vehicle, and you have the fastest vehicle. But I was spending all my money on things that are not bringing back money to me. Can you become famous from car racing? Of course, you can become famous. Can you get sponsors? Yes, you could get sponsors for car racing. But really and truly, the kind of money you have to spend to have a very fast car. Whenever you want to sell that vehicle, you would not be able to get back even half the money that you spend on the vehicle. And at some point, everybody who spend a lot of money on cars for car racing purposes, at some point in your life, you want to get rid of that vehicle. And when you catch yourself, you can't even get rid of the vehicle, can't even get half the amount of money that you want for that vehicle. Like you spend so much money, hundreds of thousands of dollars can be spent in a car to have the fastest vehicle. It is a sport, as I say, if in case you can afford it, you can do it. But if in case that you know you can't afford it, it's better for you to be a spectator. Can I afford it? No. I can't afford car racing, so I am not involved in car racing anymore. Do I love fast cars? Yes. I would buy a car that is already fast, that I could drive every single day. But am I going to go and build a vehicle? From my experience, no, I'm not going to build any vehicle. I'm going to actually buy a vehicle which has good power that I could drive every single day instead of spend my money getting out the vehicle, taking out everything out of the vehicle. And then when I want to sell the vehicle now, I can't get any money for the vehicle. I have to park it one side or maybe give it away. So, I mean, I have experience in car racing because I used to build them. I have issues? No, I have no issues with car racing. It's just about what levels you're on, how much money you have, what you can afford. You know, if in case you can't afford it, I'm begging you, please keep away from it because it won't be worth it. It's better for you to actually have assets that make you money, and then you could actually get into car racing to play around. That is the best way. If in case you really want to get into car racing, make sure you have something bringing in money. Have some vehicles that you could rent out and bring money. Have some apartments that you could rent out and bring some money. Have a business that is making good money that you could actually, use some of the money to get into car racing and so forth. So that is just my idea. That's how I feel about car racing. I'm not going to say that I don't like it and people should not do it, but you have to understand it is a very expensive sport, and at the end of the day, you have to make sure that when things get bad, that you don't say, well, you're going to sell the vehicle, because in case you try to sell the vehicle, you're not going to really get money, because things do get bad at some point, and you wish that you had the money that you spent on the car. So that's all I have to say about car racing. I know that I answered the question. I don't even want to talk about car racing anymore. Thank you. Bye.